Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaimudirayet Nashta Prayesho Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Om Agnanathmirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Vimate Bhaktivedanta Swami iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 4 Chapter 22 Verse 34 न कुर्यात् कर्हिचित् सङ्गं तमस्तीव्रं तितीरिषुः धर्मार्थकाममोक्षाणां यत् अत्यन्तविघातकम्. Those who strongly desire to cross the ocean of nescience must not associate with the modes of ignorance, for hedonistic activities are the greatest obstructions to realization of religious principles. Okay, dharma, artha, regulated kama, and at last moksha. Um, Hedonistic engaged in the pursuit of pleasure, sensually self-indulgent, pleasure-seeking, meaning material pleasure-seeking activities, sense gratification in simple words, are the greatest obstructions to realization of dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Do not associate with mode of ignorance. The four principles of life allow one to live according to religious principles, which is dharma, earn money, artha, but this earning money has to be according to one's position in society, not whimsically. According to one's position in society means varnashrama. So dharma, varnashrama dharma, earn money as per varnashrama dharma. To allow the senses to enjoy the sense objects according to regulations as per shastra, kama, and to progress along the path of liberation from this material attachment. So everybody has to progress away from material attachment, which is vanaprastha. The varnashrama is designed to actually achieve this. Grihastha life has to be based on dharma, which is completely principles of varnashrama dharma. Do follow religious principles, earn money as per our position in society, and enjoy senses in a regulated manner. In one place, Prabhupada says regulated manner means by doing sacrifices. So in ways that are unknown actually to modern civilization. There are ways to enjoy sense objects according to regulations and eventually to progress along the path of liberation. Now, for devotees, obviously the progress on to the path of course, we are not targeting liberation, but bhakti is already started. So we have to become free from material attachment. Mm. And because we are not following dharmic principles, we are earning whimsically. So we have to purify that by offering it to Krishna. We have to allow senses to enjoy only in relation with Krishna consciousness. Lower stage, but it's okay. It's better than in engaging outside regulations. As if we do this and eventually come to vanaprastha, which means we completely break out of stop all material activities. Yesterday I was reading one more purport. Prabhupada clearly says that if you don't stop material activities, then our absorption in material things will go on. So we have to put a full stop to this material engagement. Unless we are great soul like Bhishma Dev. Bhishma Dev, at the last moment, he was able to very quickly withdraw his mind from all material things, because he was such a big, great devotee and a big yogi. But otherwise, it's not practically possible to simply just withdraw. So we have to prepare for it. We have to practice it and slowly, gradually increase this detachment, increase being away from material activities. As long as the body is there, it is not possible to become completely free from all these material interests. It is not, however, recommended that one act only for sense gratification and earn money for that purpose only, sacrificing all religious principles. Okay, it might not be completely, we may not be able to completely free ourselves from material interests, but at least not recommended that we just live life for sense gratification and earn money, sacrificing religious principles, which is what modern Kali Yuga is. All religious principles are sacrificed. At the present moment, human civilization does not care for religious principles. It is, however, greatly interested in economic development without religious principles. And pretty much this is seen everywhere. All people are bothered about is just money, nothing else, and their own money, not money for Krishna, just self-centered life. For instance, in a slaughterhouse, the butchers certainly get money easily, but such business is not based on religious principles. Similarly, there are many nightclubs for instance gratification and brothels for sex. This, of course, is allowed in married life, but prostitution is prohibited because all our activities are ultimately aimed at liberation, at freedom from the clutches of material existence. Similarly, although the government may license liquor shops, this does not mean that liquor shops should be opened unrestrictedly and illicit liquor smuggled. Licensing is meant for restricting. No one has to take a license for sugar, wheat, or milk because there's no need to restrict these things. In other words, it is advised that one not act in a way that will obstruct the regular process of advancement in spiritual life and liberation. The Vedic process of sense gratification is therefore planned in such a way that one can economically develop and enjoy sense gratification and yet ultimately attain liberation. But our problem is we have given up the Vedic process. So it's demoniac civilization. Vedic civilization offers us all knowledge in the Shastras. And if we live a regulated life under the direction of Shastras and Guru, all our material desires will be fulfilled. At the same time, we will be able to go forward to liberation. So this is the design, so that we don't live, we fulfill our material desires, but a regulated way. It's a regulated life. We really don't know what this regulation means. So that is the reason why Srila Prabhupada, when we are taking initiation, we um agree to follow the four regulative principles. Mm, right? So that is the beginning of a regulated life. Then, of course, the next biggest thing is prasadam, honoring only prasadam. And that also is a big part of regulated life. No engagement in sense gratification, like going to movies, generally just shopping, you know, just as and when we feel like. All these are regulative principles because they just help us to progress in spiritual life. Sense gratification, yes. For example, we can honor prasadam as much prasadam if we are not able to control our tongue. Mm. Want money? Okay, earn money, spend it for Krishna. So, and of course, because we are doing bhakti simultaneously, our material desires will eventually become purified, and they'll all be in connection with Krishna. Otherwise, without bhakti, purifying ourselves is very difficult. We can't artificially control ourselves. Mm. So that is the reason, Prabhupada wanted this Varnashrama Dharma to be established. Because otherwise, the Vedic civilization is unconducive. It's actually pushing even devotees to go in wrong direction. I see so many devotees still hooked on to gadgets and wealth and possessions and etc. etc. But that's not our aim at all. Yeah, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu,
Hare Krishna.
one thing we can note that Prabhupada, he gives different intensity in different puppets, right? So in this puppet, he is saying that, okay, uh, something which is obstruction to regulated sense gratification, that should be like that is something which we should not
Yeah,
do. And in other purports, he says that there should be no material desires at all.
yeah,
So how to understand
yeah.
like
Because
what
this verse
aspect?
is being addressed to people who will associate with modes of ignorance, right?
Hmm.
Talking about hedonistic activity. So in this verse, the focus is on getting stuck by unregulated sense gratification. Because this is not for pure devotees. This is just an advice for people who are stuck in the three modes and saying, okay, at least don't get stuck in the mode of ignorance. Okay,
Yeah.
follow regulated sense gratification so you can still enjoy, but it's regulated. So it
Yeah.
depends on the context of the verse, whom it is being addressed to, etc. etc. We should understand that there are always different grades of instructions, and this
Hmm.
is for very lower platform, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and when Prabhupada is talking about pure devotional service, then he will say no material desires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Prabhu.
तत्रापि मोक्ष एवार्थ आत्यन्तिक आत्यन्तिकतयेष्यते त्रैवर्ग्योऽर्थो यतो नित्यं कृतान्तभयसंयुतः. Out of the four principles, namely Dharmartha, Kama, Moksha, liberation has to be taken very seriously. The other three are subject to destruction by the stringent law of nature, is death. Moksha has to be taken very seriously, even as the sacrifice of the other three items. As advised by Sutta Goswami in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, religious principles are not based on success in economic development. नार्थोर्थायोपकल्पते नार्थस्य धर्मैकान्तस्य कामा लाभाय हि स्मृतः. Mm. So very important. First canto, second chapter, I think. Yeah. So sequence of verses about dharma. परो धर्मो यथो भक्तिरधोक्षजे अहेतुके प्रतिहता ययात्मा सुप्रसीदति. So talking about paradharma. And in that context, there is discussion about how samanya dharma should be followed. So our na regular dharma, mundane dharma or varnashrama dharma, should be performed only for just following regulative principles or as a matter of duty. It should not be done for kama. Mm. And even if there is, it should not be done for artha. Even if there is artha, it should not be used for sense gratification. So dharma has to be followed just because it's our duty. And if there is some artha coming out of it, that artha should be used just for maintenance. Labho jiveta yavata, just for self-preservation. And the remaining money must be used for Krishna consciousness. But we are very attached to sense gratification. We go to God, to the temple or churches for some economic reasons. Then again, economic development does not mean sense gratification. The same verses Prabhupada is talking about. Abhasya kamasya nendriya preetir. Kamasya na indriya preeti. Should not be sense gratification. Everything should be adjusted in such a way that we attain liberation. Therefore, in this verse, moksha is stressed. The other three items are material and therefore subject to destruction. Even if somehow we accumulate a great bank balance in this life and possess many material things, everything will be finished with death. Now, somehow this is not, doesn't kind of, enter our heads that everything will be finished with death. Mm. So we are so foolish that we are ready to sacrifice our shreyas for earning money which we think is for our children, grandchildren, etc. But they are not going to come and help us in the next life. Of course, if they are very cultured, then they might do Shraddha and help us. That's all. And why next life? Why should we want next life? And if we want this to be the last material birth, then we have to give full focus to bhakti. Because everything else that we have will be finished with death. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that death is the supreme person of God. Mrityu sarvaharas chaham, who ultimately takes away everything acquired by the materialistic person. Foolishly, we do not care for this. Yeah, this was the point. We are so foolish. Foolishly, we are not afraid of death. Nor do we consider that death will take away everything acquired by the process of dharma, artha, kama. By dharma or pious activities, we may be elevated to the heavenly planets. But this does not mean freedom from the clutches of birth, death, old age, disease. The purport is that we can sacrifice our interests in Traivargya, dharma, artha, kama. But we cannot sacrifice the cause of moksha. Regarding moksha, it is stated in Bhagavad Gita, Tyaktva punarjanma naiti. Liberation means that after giving up this body, one does not have to accept another material body. To the impersonalist, liberation means merging into the existence of impersonal Brahman. But factually, this is not moksha because one has to again fall down into this material world from that impersonal position. One should therefore seek the shelter of the Supreme Person of Godhead and engage in his devotional service. That is real liberation. The conclusion is that we should not stress pious activities, economic development, and sense gratification, but should concern ourselves with approaching Lord Vishnu in his spiritual planets, of which the topmost is Goloka Vrindavana, where Lord Krishna lives. Therefore, this Krishna consciousness movement is the greatest gift for persons who are actually desiring liberation. So the previous verse was for those who are far away from this liberation. They want sense enjoyment. The previous verse is saying, okay, do in a regulated manner, engage in sense gratification. But in this verse, Prabhupada again is very clear. Uh, Dharma is not for artha, artha is not for kama, kama is not for sense gratification. Pare vare cha ye bhava guna vyatikaraad anu न तेषां विद्यते क्षेमम् ईशविध्वंसिताशिषम्. We accept as blessings different states of higher life, distinguishing them from lower states of life. But we should know that such distinctions exist only in relation to the interchange of the modes of material nature. Meaning, tamoguna, rajoguna is better than tamoguna, satvaguna is better than rajoguna, etc. Actually, these states of life have no permanent existence, for all of them will be destroyed by the supreme controller. Isha vidhumsita ashisham. Ashisham, all these blessings, everything is vidhumsita, destroyed. In our material existence, we accept a higher form of life as a blessing and a lower form as a curse. This distinction of higher and lower only exists as long as the different material qualities interact. In other words, by our good activities, we are elevated to the higher planetary systems or to a higher standard of life. Uh, Janma Ishwarya Sutashri, good education, beautiful body, etc. These are the results of pious activities. Similarly, by impious activities, we remain illiterate, get ugly bodies, a poor standard of living, etc. But all these different states of life are under the laws of material nature through the interaction of the qualities of goodness, passion, ignorance. However, all these qualities will cease to act at the time of dissolution of the entire cosmic manifestation. Lord therefore says, Abrahma bhuvana lokaha punaravartino arjuna mamupete tukonteya punarjanma vidyate. Even though we elevate ourselves to the highest planetary system by the scientific advancement of knowledge or by religious principles of life, great sacrifices and fruitive activities, which is karma kanda, at the time of dissolution, these higher planetary systems and life on them will be destroyed. In this verse, the words Isha Vidhamsita Ashisham indicate that all such best blessings will be destroyed by the supreme controller, Isha. We will not be protected. Our bodies either in this planet or in another planet will be destroyed. And again, we'll have to remain for millions of years in an unconscious state within the body of Mahavishnu till the next creation happens. And again, when the creation is manifested, we have to take birth in different species of life and begin our activities. Therefore, we should not be satisfied simply by a promotion to the higher planetary systems. Of course, Bhagavatam says promotion to higher planetary system itself is worthless. Then what about sense gratification in this life on earth? Most trivial. We should try to get out of the material cosmic manifestation, go to the spiritual world, and take shelter of the Supreme Person of Godhead. That is our highest achievement. We should not be attracted by anything material, higher or lower, but should consider them all on the same level. Our real engagement should be in inquiring about the real purpose of life and rendering devotional service to the Lord. Thus, we will be eternally blessed in our spiritual activities, full of knowledge and bliss. Regulated human civilization promotes dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Regulated. Now it's unregulated. In human society, there must be religion. Without religion, human society is only animal society. Dharmena hina pashubi samana. Economic development and sense gratification must be based on religious principles. When religion, economic development, and sense gratification are adjusted, liberation is assured. In present age of Kali, however, there is no question of religion and liberation. People have taken interest only in economic development and sense gratification. Therefore, despite sufficient economic development all over the world, dealings in human society have become almost animalistic. See, Ramaraja, also people were happy. There was sufficient wealth, sufficient sense gratification, all regulated. But now it's all become animalistic. When everything becomes grossly animalistic, dissolution takes place. This dissolution is to be accepted as Isha Vidvam Sita Ashisham. Lord's so called blessings of economic development and sense gratification will be conclusively dissolved by destruction. At the end of this Kali Yuga, the Lord will appear as the incarnation of Kalki, and his only business will be to kill all human beings on the surface of the globe. After that killing, another golden age will begin. We should therefore know that our material activities are just like childish play. Children. Prayas. Childish play means prayas, immediate happiness. Children may play on the beach and the father will sit and watch this childish play. the construction of buildings with sand, the construction of walls, and so many things. But finally, the father will ask the children to come home. Then everything is destroyed. Persons who are too much addicted to the childish activities of economic development and sense gratification. Economic development and sense gratification are childish, are sometimes, such persons are sometimes especially favored by the Lord when He destroys their construction of these things. And we actually then go back to the Lord and actually pray to get back all the things that we have lost. Hmm. Lord mercifully took it away so that He cleared the path because we were too attached. And because we are too attached and we also want Krishna, but we are too attached to material things. The Lord being merciful, mm, He destroyed all those material things that we are attracted to. But then we go back to Krishna and again pray, please give me back all that. And then Krishna would say, but you want me or you want that? So we have to be careful. We should only desire Krishna. Everything else is just an anartha, unwanted. And we should be clear that this anartha has to go. Today we might not have the strength to get rid of it, but tomorrow it should go. Yasyam anugrunhami harishyeta dhanam shanaihi. Lord told Yudhishthir Maharaj that his special favor is shown to his devotee when he takes away all the devotee's material opulences. Generally, therefore, it is experienced that Vaishnavas are not very opulent in the material sense. When a Vaishnava, pure devotee, tries to be materially opulent and at the same time desires to serve the Supreme Lord, his devotional service is checked because he's striving hard to be material opulent. But if somebody has a lot of opulence like Raghunath Das Goswami and he doesn't have to really struggle hard, then and if he's not attached, Raghunath Das Goswami, Pundarika Vidyanidhi, then no problem. But if somebody has to struggle hard to become materially opulent and still they want Krishna, then they will not have time to serve Krishna and their devotional service is checked. For such devotees, the Lord, in order to show him a special favor, destroys his so-called economic development and material opulences. Of course, it's very rare. Doesn't happen to everybody. And Srila Prabhupada reflects on his life after he has gone to Vrindavan. He writes this Vrindavana Bhajana. So there he's introspecting. He's saying, "Oh, I was so attached, and Lord showed me special favor." So he quotes this verse. Thus, the devotee, being frustrated in his repeated attempts at economic development, ultimately takes solid shelter under the lotus feet of the Lord. This kind of action may also be accepted as Isha Vidvamsita Ashisham, whereby the Lord destroys one's material opulences, but enriches one in spiritual understanding. In the course of our preaching work, we sometimes see that materialistic persons come to us and offer their obeisances to take blessings, which mean they want more and more of material opulences. If such material opulences are checked, such persons are no longer interested in offering obeisance to the devotees. Such materialistic persons are always concerned about their economic development. They offer obeisances to saintly persons of the Supreme Lord and give something in charity for preaching work with a view that they will be rewarded with further economic development. However, one is sincere in his devotional service, the Lord obliges the devotee to give up his material development and completely surrender unto him. The Lord obliges because the Lord does not give blessings of material opulence to his devotee. People are afraid of worshipping Lord Vishnu because they see that the Vaishnavas, who are worshippers of Lord Vishnu, are poor in superficial material opulences. Of course, we also see that devotees also have material opulences. But then there could be two possibilities. One is they're just Mishra Bhaktas and they're attached to material opulence and they're not very serious about achieving Krishna. The other is that they are such great devotees that they are not affected by their opulence at all. And Krishna gives them more and more because he knows that they're going to use all of it in his service. Hmm. Such materialistic persons, however, get immense opportunity for economic development by worshipping Lord Shiva. For Lord Shiva is the husband of the goddess Durga, the proprietor of this universe. But we should understand that whatever we get will eventually anyway be destroyed. By the grace of Lord Shiva, a devotee gets the opportunity to be blessed by the goddess Durga. Ravana, for example, was a great worshipper and devotee of Lord Shiva. And in turn, he got all the good blessings of goddess Durga, so much so that his whole kingdom was constructed of golden buildings. In Brazil, in this present age, huge quantities of gold have been found. And from historical references in the Puranas, we can guess safely that this was Ravana's kingdom in Brazil. Then we talk about Sri Lanka, and we can imagine how big his kingdom was. This kingdom was, however, destroyed by Lord Ramachandra. By studying such incidents, we can understand the full meaning of Isha Viditvam Sita Ashisham. The Lord does not bestow material blessings upon the devotees, for they may be entrapped again in this material world by continuous birth, death, old age, disease. Due to materialistic opulences, persons like Ravana become puffed up for sense gratification. Ravana even dared kidnap Sita, who was both the wife of Lord Ramachandra and the goddess of fortune, thinking that he would be able to enjoy the pleasure potency of the Lord. But actually, by such action, Ravana became Vidvamsita, ruined. At the present moment, human civilization is too much attached to economic development and sense gratification, and is therefore nearing the path of ruination. Hmm. So we have to take, make a choice. Either we want Krishna or we want all these material opulence. Right? So if we want Krishna, but we also want material opulences, then what will happen? What will the Lord do? If we want Krishna and also want more material opulences, what will the Lord do?
He will keep us in this material world.
No, you have to hear the purport. I've been reading the purport. Prabhupada is answering.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. He'll take away.
He'll take it away.
He'll take
He'll
it away.
take it. Mm.
If a devotee wants Krishna but also wants material opulence, Krishna will take away the material opulence. So what should be our mood?
Aim
If
for only Krishna.
Yeah, just aim for
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Even
And
if Lord
Krishna,
is,
hmm,
yeah, good.
go ahead, go ahead.
So even if Lord takes away, allow Lord to basically uh,
Yeah, okay,
take
very
that
nice.
control of taking away
Even if Lord
of
takes
it.
away, it's okay. It's for our good. And Krishna is anyway saying Yogakshema Bahagam. So we have faith in Krishna and we do our duty. If we are in Grihastha ashram, then we do our work just enough so that we have enough time for sadhana bhakti. Right? And if Lord wants to give, if we are not attached to wealth, Lord might even give wealth. So we don't have to worry. Krishna will give us whatever is absolutely required for us for our spiritual progress. If we want Krishna, if we don't want Krishna, then it's fine. We can do whatever we want. Okay. Any questions? Yeah, Shashank.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hmm.
Prabhu,
as you mentioned in one of the talks, like Prabhupada was mentioning not getting attached to like material absorption.
Mm-hmm.
So like just to like just as a summary in the stages of bhakti, like to reach Nishta, so this is the first qualification now, Prabhu. Like where first we'll realize we are Brahman, like we are not body, this is how, then chanting, then again engaging ourselves in complete devotional service. So by these 3 points, we will be going in a platform to reach Nishta stage bhakti, no Prabhu.
What is Nishta?
Steadiness, complete in the platform of bhakti.
So
So
before steadiness, there has to be anartha nivritti. Before anartha nivritti, we start bhajana kriya.
yeah,
So
Prabhu.
we start the activities of bhakti, which is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, chanting, reading, hearing, taking up different services, etc., with the intention to get rid of our anarthas. Anarthas are unwanted things that are there in us, which is kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. By the process of bhakti, these things get destroyed, which means we become purified. And from anisthita bhakti, we come to nishtita bhakti or nishtha. Anishtita bhakti means not fixed. One day we are like this, another day we are something else, sinusoidal wave. And in nishtha, we are fixed. And also, nishtha is the state of liberation, Brahmabhuta. We can be fixed only when we are not attached to this body. Only when we are not attached materially can we remain fixed in our devotional service, because fixed means in spite of whatever is happening in our life, we keep our commitments. We keep up our commitments, right? So it's a very high platform. The process is to just simply follow sadhana bhakti strictly, intensely, seriously, sincerely. That's all. In course of time, we will come to Nishtha.
Okay, Prabhu. Because whenever we like when we follow, so these ups and downs, even though we won't be attached to the ups and downs, so that is also called as, in that phase it is called as anishtita bhakti, when we are getting ups and downs and we are not attached to it, but that bhakti, whatever we are doing, that sadhana is anishtita bhakti then.
Well, Anishtita means two things. One is we have actually reached Brahmabhutam, which means that we don't really care for this body. We don't care for anything material.
Okay.
That is Brahmabhuta. So we have to understand this. Moksha means that we live without cares, Prabhupada writes. We live without care. We don't care for material things.
Okay.
And we are simply bothered about bhakti and devotional service and serving Krishna, serving Guru, serving Vaishnavas. That's all. We're not bothered. That is Nishtha. When we in that mood we are doing bhakti, that can be classified as Nishtha.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, bro.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, we can close here. Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyashta kripa sindhubhyevacha. Patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Antakoti Vaishnavundi ki jai. Samaveta Gaura Bhaktavundi ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.